This woman found herself in a fight for her life, leading to the unthinkable. She ended up taking her husband's life with her own hands.
Nilimgonga. Venye nilimfanya hivi alianguka. Venye alianguka nikataa nikaona ameanguka, nilichukua ile kisu alikuwa nayo nikamdunga mguu. Venye nilidunga mguu niliona damu mingi. Sijaiona damu kama hiyo. Hapo ndipo niliamua kuambia daktari, mimi nimemuua. Mimi ndo nimemdunga.
Hold on, don't jump to conclusions yet. Grace, raised in an abusive home, was deprived of the love and care she deserved. As an adult, she found love only for it to turn into another source of pain. On a dramatic day, her love soared, leaving her with no other choice but to take her husband's life. Now, after serving 4 years in prison, Grace is out and facing the challenges of raising her children alone. She seeks forgiveness and a fresh start. But what exactly happened, and what led to the tragic event where she took her husband's life? What was the reaction of her family, and how is she coping since her release from prison? In order to understand what exactly happened, we travel to a remote village in Kenya to meet a woman who shares her compelling story with us.
I'm Grace Wateri, a single mother of 2 boys and a student at the moment. I hail from Murang'a County, where I was born and raised in Ruiru by my 2 parents. I was raised in a violent home where the mother and the father used to fight. They used to drink a lot. They used to fight to a point where it interfered with my life. Firstly, I studied until the level of class 8, where I attained 392 marks, and I didn't have the privilege to go to high school, even though I got an admission. This is because my mother did not give me the chance to go back to school, and the conditions at home did not favor. And she only opted to take me for a course, where later, even after waiting, I didn't manage to be taken to that course. I stayed in that home where they were still fighting. I doing manual work to fend for my needs. Yeah.
She endured a harsh and toxic environment growing up, which led her to become increasingly depressed rather than gaining other life experiences. As she matured, she sought ways to escape her circumstances. Through her perseverance and determination, she eventually met the man who would become her husband.
I went and rent a house for myself, where I was paying through doing some manual work like laundry, until when I met my husband. My deceased husband, yes. I can't say that it is love that made me get married, no. I was searching for affection, because at home I didn't get that affection. My mom didn't give me the affection that I needed. My parents, the extended family, they didn't bother to take care of me as a normal kid. Until when I found my husband, who gave me what I considered to be an affection. In return for the great love, for the great affection that I got from him, I developed a very great love for this man, until I decided to give him a child. I got my firstborn and everything turned berserk. We started fighting. We fought everything. We used to fight a lot. He used to beat me. Our marriage started to run down until when I started to run on and off. I'm in the marriage, I'm away, I'm back. That life, it gave me so much frustrations. Bukat kidogo.
However, the affection she desperately sought took an unfortunate turn. The person she loved and trusted, from whom she hoped to receive the affection she had always lacked, ultimately turned against her.
Ilikuwa uchungu mingi sana kuona the person you love.
It was a tough and bitter experience, seeing the person I loved the most become the source of my pain. Our conflicts often escalated to the point of physical harm until I made the difficult decision to leave. Complicating matters further, I left while pregnant with my second child. Faced with these challenges, I found a job to support my child and could not consider returning home. Eventually, I rented a small house within my means and started a small business.
Despite the conflicts, the husband came to realize the gravity of the situation. Motivated by a desire to mend their relationship, he sought out his wife, hoping to reconcile and bring her and their child back home.
It was around 10 a.m. Nilikuwa najitayarisha niende kazi.
One early morning, as I was preparing for work, he unexpectedly appeared at my home. He knocked loudly on my door before entering. Startled and a bit scared, I listened as he presented me with an ultimatum. You either come back home, or we live together, or we file for a divorce, he said. But he was so violent that he said so while grabbing my neck with a knife in the hand that I quickly had to comply before things turned out for the worse. He asked again if I would go back with him since I had his children, but I denied, and he stabbed me. We fought, and I somehow stabbed him on the leg.
That day descended into utter chaos. The confrontation escalated to the point where the man was seriously injured, leaving the wife terrified by the consequences of her actions. The events that followed were even more shocking and had a lasting impact. To this day, the woman still harbors guilt and blames herself for how things unfolded.
I usually called him Papa, out of respect. On that chaotic day, I urged him to let us go to the hospital, but he initially refused, insisting that I go ahead and that he would be fine. I had already called a taxi, and the driver helped me convince him to come with us to the hospital. As the doctors began treating him, he quietly said, "My wife and I are best friends," and then fell silent, not uttering another word. Later, the doctor confirmed that he had passed away. I couldn't believe it. I had to see for myself. When I spoke to him and he didn't respond, I realized he was truly gone.
The realization of what had happened was overwhelming for her, and in a moment of distress, she told the doctors that she was responsible for her husband's death. The police were called, and she was immediately arrested. Life in prison proved to be incredibly challenging, especially complicated by her pregnancy and the presence of her young child, who had no one else to care for them.
When I was arrested, I urgently asked the police to find someone to care for my child. but they informed me that only family members could take custody. Consequently, I reached out to my mother, who then took responsibility for bringing my child to school. Meanwhile, my husband's family labeled me a murderer and took custody of my child. My mother, however, initiated legal proceedings to regain custody, and she successfully brought my child back. Now, all my children live with their grandmother. The judge sentenced me to 7 years in prison, but during my imprisonment, I was pregnant and gave birth a few months later. I raised my baby in prison until they were 4 years old. Due to a reduction in my sentence, I served only 4 years and 8 months of the original 7-year sentence and was then released from prison.
After serving her sentence, Grace was finally released from prison. However, during her time behind bars, only a few people reached out to her, including her brother and sister-in-law. The rest of her family and friends avoided contact, not daring even to meet her. To her dismay, even her own mother rejected her, refusing to let her return home. This isolation deepened the challenges Grace faced as she tried to reintegrate into society.
Until when nimetoka prison.
Since being released, I haven't received any response from my husband's family. I'm unsure of their feelings toward me, but I continue to seek their forgiveness for the accident for which I was held responsible. If they are listening, I hope they can find it in their hearts to forgive me. Forgiving myself has been a crucial part of my healing process as I grapple with the guilt of what happened. My relationship with my mother remained strained. She refused to welcome me back, believing that my actions had irreparably damaged her reputation. She expressed that her only wish was to see me remarried. Despite these challenges, I found a way to start over with my 2 children. Fortunately, a kind-hearted person lent me a house where I continue to live to this day.
Please find a heart to forgive me.
Despite what she went through, she has never given up on herself. She's done everything to help her raise her children and also pay their school fees and school materials, plus also studying because she's doing some studies at the university.
Niko hapa watoto wanasoma. Na mimi mwenyewe nasoma.
We're both going to school. Children need to eat and survive, but I don't have enough to cover all the bills. I would request good Samaritans to help us survive. With some capital, I can start a small business that would help in generating money to help me provide for my children, and the house we live in isn't mine, and anytime the owner would take it back and I would struggle with no shelter and end up becoming homeless with my children.
You can donate through thegivinglife.com, link provided in the description and pinned at the top of the comments. Your support can make a significant difference in her life. This woman's story is so strange, but it teaches us that life has no formula and anything can happen. We just need to be more attentive and not end up doing mistakes like what Grace did. Thank you for watching. I am Simon Greenwood, and this is Afrimax English. Remember to subscribe.